Hey guys, this is Off the Record with Luke Eccles, and today I have...
I'm Luke Eccles. I guess this is... One of us is going to have to change.
According to my ex, I never will, so...
That's okay. I'm Aidan Mattis. Just froze there a little bit, forgot my name. It happens to the best of us.
What's the name of your podcast?
Oh, yeah, I'm the host of the Lore Lodge, the Weird Bible, my own show. That show doesn't have a name. It's just Aidan Mattis.
Is it really just Aidan Mattis?
Yeah, people just... I just live stream 3 nights a week, and then people come watch me either fail at old Halo, react to things that make me angry, or get torn apart by both robots and bugs in Helldivers.
Which Halo is it, though?
We've been playing our way through Combat Evolved.
Is that the first
That's
one?
the first one. PJ and I were playing through it. Yeah. It's kind of fun.
You were like in diapers when that came out, though.
Yeah, I was little. I would have been 3 or 4.
Yeah. I feel like it came out in like 2000. 2001.
I think it was 2001, yeah.
2002. Yeah, 2001.
It's fun, though. It lets you just toggle back and forth between the old graphics and the remastered graphics just by pressing a button. It's really cool, actually, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's me. That's what I do. I play music. I played a show with Luke, well, whenever this comes
Friday,
out.
Well, it was this past Friday. For you, I don't know.
Who knows, should have been there.
What's the name of the band?
Our band is Pity For The Gourd. Yeah.
Any links they can find?
Not yet. In fact, it's during the show. I don't know if you caught what I said.
I did. I laughed. I actually really laughed.
Towards the end of the show, as we were finishing up the last song, get ready to get off stage, I go, we're Pity For The Gourd and we don't have social media.
The irony.
I was like...
The man in the room who has the most social media.
Oh, boy.
Which is a lot to say next to me, too. Like,
it's like
all the different accounts I have for YouTube and Facebook. And
one of my favorite things is when people scroll all the way back on our YouTube channel and on the Lore Lodge, because that channel it was like my first YouTube account. So I had an account, and that was, 2012 probably.
Wow.
And I started off posting music stuff because that was just where I was going to post music. And so most of what was on there when we transitioned the channel over to being the Lore Lodge, most of it was just my old School of Rock shows, acoustic stuff I was playing in my room.
You left it up?
And I left it up.
Yes.
Because I was like, I'm going to be authentic to who I am. Like, yeah, I'm doing this now, but this is still a part of my journey to becoming what I am. I probably wouldn't be as confident and comfortable in front of a camera if it weren't for all of this performance experience.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, people scroll all the way back, and there's 16, 17, 18-year-old me playing 17 by Winger and Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day, and people will comment, and they're just like, what is this? So
if you're a true Aidan Mattis fan, you're gonna find your favorite video at the beginning of his channel and comment down below.
Yeah,
as to what it is. Now I'm interested to see
exactly. Tell us you came from here.
Yeah. Actually, that's funny you mentioned that, but as from a music background, I think that's actually what has helped me with doing public speaking for different events. Because I own Red Beard Marketing, so sometimes I do speaking for businesses, different events on how they can do social media marketing, how they can market their business. So it's funny that you started out as a musician and now this is what you do. It definitely prepares you. Funny enough, it also, if you do any DIY recording, it really prepares you for editing video. Like the first time I went in to edit and I had to take sound clips out, and I was like, oh, I've done this before.
Yeah,
if
you I remember in high school when I was a senior. I was, you know how being a senior in high school is. You're just trying to do as little work as possible. I had to take a music class.
Right.
There was, the way it worked, you had to take, I think, one music class, one art class, in your high school career.
What did you go to?
Conestoga.
Okay.
So Conestoga Senior High School.
I think they were our rivals. Delaware County Christian School represent.
Yeah,
I am not part of the alumni magazine at all.
I'm not part of the alumni magazine of Conestoga either. That's mostly people who make it into politics. So that we had to take like art and music or something. Senior year, I had to get those classes finished out. I didn't want to take music theory because I play guitar. So what the hell is that? Keep that out of my face.
I didn't learn anything, but I'll talk about that.
So I took music production instead. Mm-hmm. And because I was a senior and I was a musician. I played in bands. I played with School of Rock all the time. I worked something out with the teacher where I was like, I already know how this stuff works.
Right.
I'm taking this class because I have to, so that I'm not painfully bored and you don't have to deal with teaching somebody who doesn't want to be here. Can I just like go use the practice rooms and write, and like I'll still do the projects and everything, just kind of on my own time over there, so I don't have to sit here while you teach everybody how to do the basics of Logic.
Right.
Because I'd used GarageBand for years, and Logic is just GarageBand on steroids.
Yeah.
So I was like, I already know how this works. I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but I'm going to learn more in that studio room on my own than I will in here, because at this point, everything you're teaching these guys is the how to input a file, how to trim audio, how to adjust volume variance within an audio track.
Right. The stuff you learned the first time you demoed something.
Exactly. The things I learned in 5th grade music class.
Right.
So, I had used Ableton. I had used Audacity to record some stuff, which...
Cakewalk?
I had not used Cakewalk. Right now, PJ and I are using Cakewalk.
Yeah,
I love Cakewalk.
When he said Cakewalk, I was like, whoa, memory lane.
Yeah, I like Cakewalk. He also found some really cool plugins.
Yeah, he told me. SLS or something like that, or STS?
STL?
STL, something like that.
Yeah, like Amp Hub. There were just some really cool ones that he had. But yeah, so I did that for my music production class, and I ended up just writing 2 or 3 songs and recording them myself, and that was how I did that class. But it's weird looking back on all of that and thinking like, oh yeah, all these little things led to what I do now.
Yeah.
Like learning how to cut audio and like do videos and things like that, just from these little classes here and there in high school that I was doing because I was interested in music.
Right.
Yeah. And little other thing on the side, my oldest friend, Norman, he and I used to make little short films with Legos, but not stop motion. Just we would like hold them and do the voices. Those are like lost to time on a home videotape somewhere.
So they're not on your channel somewhere.
No. Thank God. I don't even want to know. I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear my voice.
So, what are you jamming? Like, what song or like CD or what are you jamming on this week right now?
Ooh, okay, so this actually works out really well for other friends of ours. Midfield is coming out with new music right now.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna have them on for sure.
Fishtown and Down is, I think they actually just came out with a new one today. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but Fishtown and Down is one of the new singles. It's phenomenal.
Sweet.
It is. It's like, I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, but it's just like it's true modern pop punk. It's fun. It's upbeat. It's good lyrics, great vocals. I mean, I think his name's Matt, the vocalist.
Yeah.
He killed it on that one. And then PJ, of course, is a virtuoso when it comes to writing those catchy little riffs.
I think they're really coming into their own right now.
Yeah.
Like I've been following them for years. Funny enough, PJ and I have never played on stage together
Until Friday.
Well, I should take that back. I have jumped in on the his cover band a number of times, but that's always like, hey, Luke's here. He's kind of sober. You want to sing the song? And sometimes Johnny lets me. Sometimes he doesn't.
I mean,
Jules throws me the mic. My daughter, she's precious.
With that band, I mean, it's like, the men aren't allowed to be the lead singer in that band. It's,
No, but no. So all right, so Midfield, they've been around now at least 5 years.
Yeah, I know they were supposed to be going on tour before COVID hit, so I think they've been around even longer than that.
COVID, the tour killer.
Yeah, but so I've been listening to a lot of their stuff. Also just kind of got back into an Alex Melton little vibe.
I feel like I'm constantly going back to Alex Melton.
Well, it's because he's just constantly coming out with new stuff, and I think
it's killer.
We're having this weird thing in culture right now where everything's being redone.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you look at like Disney's redoing all of their old movies, but they're not really there's nothing new to it. It's like, how can we make this in a way that perfectly accentuates the way people feel comfortable right now?
Yeah. suggestion.
It doesn't matter what they do it with. It could be they try and do it, rather than writing a cool new story, they're doing stuff where they're like, well, what if we did it with we changed the gender of the main character? And it's like, that's fine, cool.
That's so edgy. Oh my god,
but
I didn't think of that.
You're not doing something new, you know? No. It's and when it fails, they want to go and they want to blame, you know, some sort of bias or bigotry reason, but in reality, like people want new stories. We've seen these a million times, and if you look at Ghostbusters, they've tried like 4 different remakes. It doesn't work anytime because nobody wants new Ghostbusters. Right. I think the best example is Star Wars. Like,
and even then, people are on the fence.
It just it wasn't good. It wasn't that it wasn't any demographic reason. It was that I watched the stories and I was like, okay, this first one is episode 4 again, but without any of the heart.
Yeah, it's just like let's just take that same exact like plot script and like just like scene for scene almost.
And the reason I think that like when it comes to, you know, music, I go back and I look at like Alex Melton is Coldplay put out Yellow 23 years ago, but Alex Melton's version of it adds something.
Wasn't it Fix You?
What?
Fix You?
He is both.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he's done both.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah,
if you haven't checked out Alex Melton, he did a tour with my buddy Fred Mascherino from Taking Back Sunday last year while I was in Florida. I completely missed it.
I actually think that came through Phoenixville, and I think I saw it. I think Midfield played with him.
Yeah, it was at the Sound Bank, RIP.
Yeah, Midfield played with them.
Cool. Yeah, killer stuff. I love how he takes super emo songs like A Day to Remember, or like Panic at the Disco, I Write Sins, Not Tragedies, and he does like a straight up like country acoustic, like I'm at the beach drinking beers with the boys.
I Write Sins, Not Tractors.
Yeah, it's so good.
He has Make Darn Sure.
Yeah. And it says something like with a Miller Lite and Poison Rationality.
Yeah. It's like with a Miller Lite and something up on the porch or something like that.
Yeah. It's so good.
He has a really good cover of Fat Lip in country style.
Yeah.
But even when he's like, there's a few where he took pop punk songs and just did another pop punk version of it, and you're like, okay, cool. This is awesome. Yeah. Did you hear the cover of Higher by Creed that he did?
I actually listened to it like just yesterday. Yeah, it's good. So it's funny because I did some work for Scott Stapp in September. I guitar teched for him. And if you're a Creed fan, this was it was a private party at a millionaire's mansion in between Westchester and Kennett Square. He locked down. It was his birthday week coming up, and he locked down a new account for his company. Really nice guy. Apparently, I went to high school with his wife.
Okay.
There was like a dozen people from my high school there. And they were all like, "Why are you here with Scott?"
You're like, "Cause I'm cool."
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Because I'm sick.
I'm with the band. I don't know. But he did all acoustic performances of like all of his hits, and it was like 2 guitars and vocals during a thunderstorm. Like it was pouring rain. He could have canceled it. He's absolute gentleman, rock star. He was like, "Nah, I'm here to do a show." So it was basically almost like a living room show. Like everybody packed in the living room.
That's so cool.
We were underneath the tent on the porch. We just took all the equipment and squished it in. I have some B-roll we can use, but he did Higher. I was wondering what Alex Melton was going to do with that because he did some clips. Because it's like I'm like, I'd like to see like a hardcore band like do like something like where it's just really. But no, like it made sense
the riff.
for Alex. It was I liked it. It's funny to see what he's gonna do with something when you don't know.
I do. I also just love I feel like there's kind of an acceptance of, like, there's been country rock, there's been southern rock and all these things in the past.
Yeah.
I think right now there's a lot of really cool crossovers going on. And like I think about 10 years ago we had like Brantley Gilbert was kind of bridging that gap between rock and country in a cool way, but it was still definitely country.
Right.
One of the things it's been going viral lately is that Hardy, who I'd never heard of before. I guess he's a country, more of like the pop country side of things. He did a song called Truck Bed.
I was just gonna say I heard that at the bar yesterday, and it definitely sounds like.
Have you heard the version that Nickelback worked on it with?
No.
There's a live version of it from the country. I think it's Country Music Awards or something.
As much as I make fun of them, like they are good musicians.
Oh my God, Chad Kroger's voice on that song is so perfect.
Yeah, I was listening to that yesterday, and I said to my roommate Kevin, Fudge Daddy, he had no big deal. His name's Fudge Daddy. Don't worry about it. And I actually said to him, I was like, this country, because there were a couple songs right after it, it's really starting to sound like 2000s, like kind of like Day to Remember, kind of like emo rock, the way it's being produced and the way like the guitar riffs and the bass hits.
Yep.
And, of course he chimed in. It was like, it's because Nashville's just churning out like the pop country stuff. And it's just like, it's starting to get super watered down, and this stuff punches. It's really good. It's catchy.
And I kind of get it. Like, it's the pop music is approachable. It's got broad appeal. Everybody's going to feel comfortable listening to it. But genres, as they become popular, tend to end up having that effect happen to them. If you look at look at what happened in the late 90s with grunge. Like, you had grunge was very popular in the early and mid 90s, and then
was trying to be Nirvana.
Yep, and then it starts to water down. And I'm not sure that I will draw a line from grunge to pop punk, but both kind of developed around the same time.
Right.
And you start to see that grunge fell to the wayside and pop punk was ascendant. And I think a large reason for that is that you could play New Found Glory on a pop station and it would feel like pop music to people who listen to pop music.
Right.
They would be like, oh, this is a little heavier than what I listen to, but, it's still pop.
Right.
It's still, happy and upbeat and everything.
So
there's a few Nirvana songs that fall into that category.
So you grew up in youth group, though, right?
No.
Oh, really?
I didn't start going to youth group until I was in 7th grade, and then I only went for a little bit.
So you didn't do like creation festivals or any of those Christian? Ooh.
I did I went to VBS every summer for a week.
Okay.
But that was it.
See, I was one of those, like my parents didn't send me to like youth group. I went to youth group, I was the good Christian boy. I'd never smoked pot until I was like 32.
I did briefly play in a church band.
Did you?
When I was in high school.
Because they needed you?
Because my girlfriend went to that church.
Oh, yeah. That's the other reason. Yeah.
Exactly.
When they find out there's a musician, I couldn't tell you how many times like I've met a friend that goes to a church and like they'll introduce me to one of their friends that like is on the staff for that church, and they'll be like, any chance we could get you to come and play guitar or sing? I'm like...
Also, the thing that fascinates me is I feel like churches always somehow have a bassist and a drummer. When every single other band out there, those are the two positions they have the most trouble filling.
Thousands of guitarists.
Their guitarists are literally a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And yet every single church group has a drummer and a bassist, and somehow they're both incredible.
Yeah. And then the guitarist for the band always has bass equipment because, they take a guitarist and give him bass equipment to play.
Yeah, it's...
Literally, so many bands.
But
when you find somebody that's actually a bass player, you're like, where'd they find? You're a bass player? Like, where'd they find you?
I will say, depending on the church, because some churches I've gone to, it's all like Hillsong that is being, they're not just playing the track, they're playing the music, but it's Hillsong.
Yeah.
The one that I played in for a brief time when I was in high school, they let us do like Reliant K and Flyleaf. So the thing is, if you can do that stuff with your church band when you're young, you can start getting into some of the more fun kind of music where it's not just, 3 open chords over and over again, but you've got like little riffs and there's metalcore influences and you can learn to be a very good guitarist and very good performer playing Christian music. It's just not going to be the stuff that's getting played in every mainline church. It's going to be played where, the band leader is not some old guy who's been at the church forever, but it's, a guy who maybe grew up in the church, but is also young and grew up on Cartel and Simple Plan and all that, which is what I grew up on. That's the music I listened to. Right. I was only on Kids Bop till I was maybe like 8. Right. Then I was weaned.
Yeah. And then he gave up on life and decided to be a youth bin major at Eastern University.
What?
Dude, like, you just described like every youth pastor.
It's
like,
true.
When I was a kid, was just like polo shirt, glasses like this, and he's like, "Hey guys, I listen to POD too." Mm-hmm. It was like whatever the trendy band was like. Just I love Jesus, but I also listen to POD.
Oh my!
Like that's how they got hired.
I've been thinking a lot about Paramore's song "Misery Business" lately, but who else was in the business of misery? The Pharisees.
Paramore was a little after my generation for music, but like that.
But you get my point, yeah.
That is like spot on.
Exactly.
That was spot on. The focus on the family. Like I grew up in the '90s, so like there were all those like focus on the family things. Where like this Christian band sounds like Nirvana, but like there was the alternatives.
Yep.
That were safe for your parents to give you CDs. CDs, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah, I was getting CDs too. Don't worry about it. I think the first CD I ever got was it was one of Green Day's compilation albums. This was probably back in 2005 or 6, probably right after American Idiot.
Okay.
It was either before. It was the compilation album that came out either right before or right after American Idiot.
Okay.
So it had Minority, Warning. I think obviously American Idiot being on it would depend on where it came out.
Right.
But my parents, that was the first CD they gave me, but then they actually listened to the CD, and that CD disappeared, and I think the next one I got was Plain White T's, who were my first favorite band. They played on iCarly. They did Our Time Now.
Yeah.
And so I already knew Hey There, Delilah. I'd grown up with that song, but they played Our Time Now on iCarly, and then they were my favorite band for a while. And my singing teacher when I was 18, Matt McAndrew, who's now the lead singer of Rain City Drive, formerly Slaves. He came in second on The Voice. I'm going to try and get him to come in and sit down with you. But he opened for the Plain White T's in Philly on, like, not on, but the weekend, I think, before my 18th birthday. So I went down to see them and all that, and I actually ended up running into Tom Higginson in the lobby. Right. Yeah, and like shook his hand. I was like, dude, you're like one of the main reasons I play music now. And he was so chill about it. He was like, oh man, that's so cool. Like that means a lot. Thank you. Like so down to earth, such a chill guy. And you're like, this is so cool. I love when meeting your heroes goes well.
Right.
Like,
yeah, sometimes it's disappointing.
Yeah, it can
sometimes it's real disappointing.
Yeah. Thankfully I haven't had too many like intense versions of that yet, but there have been a few times where I've met somebody who I've heard good things about, and I'm like, that's disappointing. You're not as cool as I thought you'd be.
I have some fun interactions with like Circus Survive and the Deer Hunter that I'll probably get into.
I don't think I know either of those.
Well, Circus Survive is Anthony Green. He's local. He's also in LS Dunes right now with Travis from Coheed and Cambria is playing guitar. Frank Iero.
Okay, Frank Iero.
Is playing second guitar. And then the drummer and the bassist for Thursday are.
I love when you're like, this little local musician who just happens to play with people who were in some of the biggest bands.
Well, I mean, Circa's not small.
I know, but you get my point.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing about like, a lot of the bands I listen to is like people that like just listen to the radio or whatever. Like they have no clue what the bands that influenced me. But like, I mean, Circus 5 has like 1 million followers easily on social media or more. And then, I mean, Anthony he's in 5 or 6 different bands. He's in the Sounds of Animals Fighting. He's got like Anthony Green, his solo project. He's in Seosin. He was their first lead singer.
Really?
So in fact, the way I heard about this happening when it happened in the early 2000s, he was in Seosin. They had just gotten signed to whatever record label they were getting signed to, and they had already been touring. They've been doing stuff for a year, and I heard that, again, this is allegedly, he came back to Philly. He's from Doylestown. He was visiting family, and he was jamming with Colin, the guitarist, and probably Brandon, the other guitarist. And I don't think they even had their drummer, Steve, or I forget their bassist's name. But they were like just jamming and writing some stuff, and he was sitting in the airport on like in between flight in like Houston, and was just like listening to the demos or like thinking about it, and just called the band and quit Seosin. It was like, yeah, I'm leaving and moving back to Philly, and started Circus Survive, just because it was very much. It was more. I think Seosin was probably going more of like that pop punk, kind of like poppy, like rock kind of vibe, and Circus Survive was very instrumental or very like experimental. Could have been an instrumental band too.
So this is just like sheer curiosity, and I'm curious if there's any sort of generational thing at play with it. You being a few years older than me, but
a few.
What would you say the difference between pop punk and emo is?
Ooh, I definitely. So I think as the years have gone on, like early 2000s, there was absolutely a line. So in the 90s, and this is something that I really think is cool with the music scene. In the 90s, it was like there were the metalheads. They only listened to metal. There are the guys that were into rock. They only listen to rock. There were the people that were into rap. Very few people really listened to different types of music that were really into a style. Again, you get the people that are just like, I listen to everything. But like music lovers, I feel were very like, this is the line of what I'm into. And this, like, I don't diverge from this, especially metalheads.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like the Christian music scene is really the reason why metal has gotten so big. And so,
Really?
I mean, dude, like there was a whole document on like Tooth and Nail, Brandon, who owns Tooth and Nail Records, about how like not a Day to Remember, but ABR, which is August Burns Red.
Yeah.
Like all these bands started getting really big, and hardcore actually started becoming marketable.
Yeah.
And part of it was the Warped Tour. It was pop punk. It was all of them kind of coming together for like Warped Tour, where you've got a pop punk band, you've got an acoustic, you got like Secondhand Serenade, who's like very like, the best thing about tonight's that we're not fighting. Yeah. Or like how could it be that we have been this way before?
Yeah, that guy.
See, like I've met the guy a number of times. I don't know any of his music. But like I know him.
I love that song though, just for that exact reason. That starts off with soft.
Is that their like number one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I listened to that one.
Yeah, but I love how it starts out and it's just like so soft, and it's like
their drummer for his touring drummer was for a while also the drummer for what's the song Do You Feel Like a Man?
Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Yeah, we played with them up in Easton, and I met him because I'm friends with Nick from the Spill Canvas. They were touring like the year I got divorced.
Yeah, guys, he knows everybody.
I know it's a lot. It's been years, but I actually played with Nick from the Spill Canvas, and that was that era was where like you started getting like the Spill Canvas. That first album he did was acoustic, so it was very much more of a singer songwriter, but still emo kind of vibe for that album. And then when he got the full band, it definitely went a little bit more like the guitar riffs are kind of almost like hardcore influenced a little bit on how he does breaks. So like you started seeing in the early 2000s, people were implementing different styles of different types of rock or like metal into pop songs, into rock. In fact, I played with Nick on his like first tour at Eastern University in the dorm. Yeah, it was like whenever I see him at a show, I'm like, we always talk about it. He's just like, I can't believe like anybody remembers that.
Want to know something that kills me? Something that makes me angry to this day? When I was a freshman in college at Penn State, there was a night where I had a club meeting that I had to go to, and on that same night, this little pop punk band was playing a free show just at the Hub, and I was like, whatever. It's not like a huge name. It's probably the school got whoever was available. Blah blah.
Right.
Blah. I'm just gonna go to my club meeting. Skip it. Whatever. It was State Champs. It was State Champs in 2016.
Right when they were starting.
Yep. Right when they were when they were going from opening for All Time Low to headlining with All Time Low.
Right.
Yeah, it was State Champs. And the thing was, like, it was such a small show that I definitely could have met the guys.
Right. Have you? Do you know the band Third Day?
No.
So they're like this like old school Christian band that's been around since the 90s. They kind of like Hillsong could probably thank them for like making. That's kind of like where like modern worship started, was like Delirious and Third Day. In the 90s, they were doing a huge Campus Crusade concerts, which was, if you're from the 90s and you grew up in that culture, that's going to be a throwback. But they would do these huge concerts, and they had Third Day playing, and they had Jennifer Knapp, who was an acoustic artist, and they just did this pop-up like, hey, we're doing a meet and greet at the Salty Fisherman in Media, which was like a little Christian bookstore. RIP to all those Christian bookstores. I don't know what they thought, selling like CDs for $20, and they were like, we'll be around forever. We're selling them for $20. But anyway, I show up and it's Third Day, and I just started like, and this is probably like an homage to why I should be doing this, but I just started like interviewing them about their albums. Like, all right, you put out this album. What's the next step? Like Southern rock, and they're all like, how yeah. They're like, we were just demoing some really like hard Southern rock type stuff. So like, I'm asking them these questions. I didn't even go to the concert. And then afterwards, Jennifer Knapp's guitarist starts talking to me, and his name was Mark. I forget his last name, but he was in DC Talks band, and he starts telling me, he's like, keep an eye out for these young guys. He's like, the lead singer Matt is dating my daughter for now, and he's like, but he's like, Toby Mac asked for like some music, and I reluctantly gave them this demo that I recorded because I'm ashamed of it. And he's like, but they had really good harmonies, so like he listened to it and signed it. He's like, they'll be on tour this next summer, so if you see them, tell them Mark said hi. They're called Reliant K.
Is the second you said Matt, I knew it was going to be Reliant K.
So my friend,
you said Matt, and you said the harmonies, and I was like, oh yeah, Reliant K.
So
by the way, just some of the best, not just like obviously I've got a cross my neck, I'm a Christian, but even like outside of the Christian stuff, just incredible musicians.
You know, he wrote what's the Firefly song with 10 million Firefly?
Owl City.
He is the co-writer on that.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, I think he does a lot of co-writing. I believe it. But like, so my friend from high school was playing like Inside Out Soul Festival, where I also got arrested. It's okay. I was in a grass skirt when I got arrested. But no more questions. No more questions.
No questions. Questions.
All right. So I show up early. It's the 90s. It's a Christian, or it was late night. It's a Christian like festival. You can't drink, can't do drugs, so you just do stupid stuff.
Right.
So I showed up with 2 coconut bras and a grass skirt so that me and my friend could, like, the thing to get people to go to their set was, our friends are playing at 3:00 on the skate stage. There may or may not be hula skirts, people dressed in hula, attire dancing, and it may or may not be me. So like, dude, people ask questions. I'm like, you gotta go.
I have worn a maid outfit on our show, so
yeah. So
I looked swole as hell in it. Actually, it was too small.
But I ended up like meeting them. They were playing like the Lodge at like 10:00 on a Thursday night, and I just like, nobody knew who they were. They just came up with the single Marilyn Manson Ate My Girlfriend. Yeah, that was their Christian music, man. It was like that's they just dropped the hardware Christian band, like, yeah. And I just like walked up and was like, hey guys, like, Mark told me to say hi, and they're like, I want to say the bassist was like 17 at the time.
They would have been kids.
Yeah, Steven, who's not their drummer anymore. I still talk to him somewhat regularly.
They weren't writing Sadie Hawkins Dance about something they remembered from 10 years ago.
Yeah, Sadie Hawkins Dance. That album was like 3 years after they did the first one.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just ended up hanging out with them like the whole week. Like, they didn't know anybody. Like, they didn't even really know any of the bands. They were brand new. They were literally like, their manager, Brian, was significantly older than, probably like late 30s, and he was basically like their chaperone. I think like half of them called him dad.
I gotta wonder, like, the experience that Reliant K must have had hitting the road at 18 compared to the experience that All Time Low must have had hitting the road at 18 has gotta be wild.
Yeah. Also, like, they gotta be like, they go to these festivals. I know, like, I was annoying at one point because when I saw them at Purple Door, I tried talking to Matt, and he was like, can you just give me a minute? Like, I'm trying to watch this guy play. It was David Bazan. David Bazan was doing Pedro the Lion. It was before he went solo, and he was just doing this, like, he had never done a solo set, so it was like a very unique thing, and I was like, some asshole little kid, trying to catch up with Matt. But like, yeah, it's got to be a very different experience, going to the Christian festivals versus Warped Tour. Just a little.
Must have been interesting, like, doing both too. But I think just the
a lot more titties at Warped Tour.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. But yeah, and unfortunately, not all of them of the correct age.
Shout out to the emo DJs.
Yeah, knowing what I know about Warped Tour. Hoo boy.
Yeah.
I never got to go, which makes me sad. Like, by the time I was able to afford going to Warped Tour, and that I didn't have to worry about my parents saying no to me going to Warped Tour, it was like 2015.
Yeah.
So I think that was like the last Warped Tour was 2016 or something like that. And by that point, I mean, there's Sunrise Skater Kids even has a song. I don't know if you know them. It's Jared Alonge. He's a YouTuber.
Okay.
But he makes like parody pop punk music, but it's actual full band like music. It's not just changing lyrics. He writes entirely new songs, and he has actual pop punk musicians play them.
Gotcha.
And they have a lyric in one of their songs that's the song is called First World Tragedy, and it's just about first world problems. But the album came out in 2016 when that was like a running trend.
Right.
But one of the lines is, this Warped Tour lineup is complete garbage. Why couldn't they book some better bands?
Yo. I feel like there was a one year where like
those last few years, because like they didn't have the money to book All Time Low, Newfound Glory, Simple Plan, like all the big bands that arguably should have been part of the lineup for the last Warped Tour.
Right.
Like my thinking would be, final Warped Tour ever. This should be you getting as many of those really big classic bands as you can, and then filling it in with maybe some of the new up and coming types like State Champs. And instead, they just seem to have gone like all mid-shelf bands.
Right.
Like, no, do the top shelf stuff, and then throw us something really new that they're giving away for free.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why they're having so many issues with the festivals now. Is, I mean, it's like these bands aren't making money on their albums really anymore. It's like Spotify is like, oh, you got a million plays on that. Like, here's $20,000.
Yep. Like, it's not.
It's like, cool. The album cost us like $40,000 to make, and that's probably not even close. Like,
no. But I will say it's the process of recording an album is something that I think a lot of people don't realize, like how much goes into it. TV makes it look so clean.
I know.
Every time you watch a TV show,
can't watch those scenes
where somebody's doing recording. My girlfriend and I watched Daisy Jones and the Six in the fall, and they walk in and they're just like, all right, guys, let's record this song. They haven't written the song yet. They're like, hey, Jimmy, throw down some funky bass line for me. He's like, and it's like already in his head. The drummer just picks it up. The guitarist starts playing like the solo from Freebird in reverse, and then that's one take and it's over. They're done. They record the whole song.
Meanwhile, in reality, the bass player is 4 hours late, and then he shows up super stoned and has to eat Doritos on the couch and tries to remember his bass lines.
And then the producer ends up just using a MIDI keyboard to play the bass.
Yeah, and then somebody else plays his parts when he's not there.
Yeah.
That could be a clip right there.
PJ and I have been recording, and you've played with PJ now. You've seen him. He's a great drummer.
Yeah.
We programmed all of the drums because it's just so much faster, and they sound good enough now that it's like, as long as he knows he can play it live, it's best to just get the best recording quality possible. But like the two, bass is hard enough to mess up and easy enough to correct in post. Drums, you can always go the programming route. The things that you can't do that with, like some bass lines definitely you would need to play, but basic stuff you don't need to.
Yeah.
Guitar and vocals. Every show where they're like, just a couple of takes, or they're, there's sometimes you're seeing it's like, the vocalist will be like, I want to try it one more time. The producer's like, but we've already done it 3 times. And you're like, PJ is not a producer. PJ is a musician who has recording software.
Right.
And he's getting really good at the production stuff as we work together. But like,
that's how it starts.
He's not like a professional producer. He's sitting there telling me, nope, again, nope, again, nope, again. We will record the same, not verse, not couple line, the same note.
Oh yeah.
Over and over and over until I get it.
Yeah.
And if I can't get it, we don't auto-tune it. We don't melodyne it. We change the vocal melody to something I can do.
Gotcha.
Or we come back to it later. And it's like, whenever I see TV shows and they're like, yeah, no, it's, just hop in the studio for 30 minutes and you'll be done. No, the reason that it's so expensive to record music is that it takes an hour and a half to record the scratch track for the vocals.
Yeah. And that's just like anywhere, any sort of recording, like, let alone like you go to a high-end studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was recording Awakening Mercury's first album, I did everything but drums, and my ex-wife at the time was like, you gotta be done soon, right? I was like, what do you mean done soon? She's like, you've recorded like 4 times this week. I was like, I think I got like most of 2 songs done, maybe. I was like, but I haven't even done vocals. Like it was like I did most of the instruments for 2 songs.
Yeah, PJ and I, like our vocal recording sessions were probably, we would do like 3-hour sessions just for vocals for each song. And then there's also him doing the actual guitars.
Right.
Outside of that time. Recording one song probably took us 20 to 30 hours.
How many recordings have you guys done for the band so far? How far along are you guys?
We've got 2 of the songs ready to basically be considered demos, I think. We're going to look at having the same guy who does Midfield's production go over those and do the final mastering.
Who's that?
God, his name is
Jeff something?
Jeff, yeah. I'm trying to remember his last name, but
PJ was telling me. Out of Lancaster, right?
Yeah, he's out in Lancaster, but his name's Jeff. So we might have him take a look at it and see if he wants to master them. Otherwise, we'll probably just do them as demos as they are now. We've got 2. They are called Ativan and Drinking to Forget, so you can kind of guess the vibe of the album from there.
Post-pandemic album.
Yeah, so you know how it goes. The other one's called Travel the States. It is honestly, I'm probably going to rewrite most of the lyrics to the song because we've just the way that the music has ended up is so much different from the way I wrote it.
Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah. Also, here's the thing. When I wrote the song, I really liked the lyrics. It was a great song about, I had a bad breakup. You were there. I had a pretty rough breakup. It was not a good time. I wrote the song as kind of a way to express that I felt like I would do anything to fix this, and to even understand what's going on.
Right.
The girl I wrote the song about, in the end, turned out to just be an awful person, just a horrible person. And like to the extent that like she did this weird thing where she went around town telling people that were friends with me that like if they knew what I had really done to her, then they wouldn't want to be friends with me anymore. There was nothing I'd done. There was literally like she wouldn't tell a single person. She would just say it's my story to tell. So
my burden to bear.
Exactly. And meanwhile, of course, I'm sitting there like I did nothing. And it got to the point where even her friends were coming to me and being like, dude, I'm sorry that she's doing this to you. Like
nothing will make you right like a breakup.
Yeah. So before I found out that she was, doing, and it might've been before she started doing that, but, before I found out about that, I wrote this song that was, the one lyric was, I would travel the States because my home's where you are, because she had moved away.
Right.
So I really liked the lyrics. What sucks about it is now I've got these lyrics I really like about this person who just was awful to me in the end. Probably still going to keep the choruses and the bridge, and I'm probably going to have Jules do the bridge with me because
my most talented singing daughter.
Yeah. I don't know if I've showed you that one.
No.
But the way the bridge works is there's one line, it's but now I see the distance that's between us cannot be overcome. Mm-hmm. And that line ends while the next line starts, which is why I kind of started thinking maybe I should have a second vocalist for this part.
Right.
So it goes, but now I see the distance that's between us cannot be overcome. The second vocalist come in and it's all the little things we should have discussed never touched our tongues. I would do anything to save this. For now, it seems all I can say is. And so those will go back and forth with one of them, the second vocalist being the female.
Gotcha.
And I was like, how do I go about doing this? How do I rewrite an entire song's lyrics and still make the choruses make sense? That's probably been the hardest exercise in songwriting that I've ever had, is like, how do I take this song and adjust so that the stuff I want to stay in here stays in here.
Right.
But that I'm letting go of some of the lyrics that maybe don't fit the rhythm of the song anymore, because it's a much more fast-paced song.
Right.
I wrote it on acoustic in DADGAD, and the final version is in standard tuning, half step down. Like,
right.
There's a difference. You choose that tuning because of a certain style of play.
Sure.
So as it changes, it's difficult to wrap your head around that and to, I don't want to say fix something, but make it work.
Pivot.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah. One of the songs on Awakening Mercury's full-length album is called Sorry Never Left Your Lips, and it was like everybody's favorite. It was probably one of the harder hitting songs. I think it's like 8 of the songs on that album I'm playing baritone guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like not like metal tones, but like very deep guitar, like indie rock tones. And the one song, Sorry Never Left Your Lips, I originally wrote that on acoustic, capo on the 7th fret, which is baritone tuning. It's B to B. So like it originally almost kind of sounded like a little bit like an Irish folk kind of like feeling, because it's like it's so high up on the register, and then it became like super low, like super heavy hitting. So it's you never know when you have a song, like a skeleton of a song in a demo, like how it's going to shape out when you start bringing other musicians in. But also, like, my advice to musicians, if you really want to like hone in on like the intention of where a song could go or what it could sound like, is workshop those live.
Yeah.
Because how you play it in the studio and how it rolls off for an album is one thing. But if you listen to any of your favorite bands, like sometimes when they've been playing a song for like 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, even a year, the way they kind of shape certain parts live just kind of make a little bit more sense. So it's, playing it out live and kind of getting feedback, or even just like really jamming on it in some sort of way. You never know. Like, you might just be like, hey, what about like a little, like, like, that's where you come up with some of the cool like little riff or filler things that actually make it like pop a little bit more.
Dude, your guitarist did not know the solo for I'm Not Okay by My Chem.
So
and his improvised version was better.
Was it
in
really?
my opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
I know you obviously couldn't listen to it as closely as I could because I was in the audience, but he did not know the solo.
Shout out to Kyle.
And I walked up to him afterwards. I was like,
God damn it, Kyle.
And I was like, dude, your version of the solo is way better than the original. And he was like, oh, thanks. I just didn't know it. So I just played something else. And I was like, okay, well, you killed it. It was awesome. His was like, the original's good. My Chemical Romance is phenomenal band.
I love that bridge too, by the way.
Yeah. And the solo in it on that one is, it's very emo.
Yeah.
He had a little bit more like almost jazz influence to it that you could hear, where there were a few parts where he did like, instead of doing like it's like a doo-doo-doo kind of sound instead of a dee-dee-dee-dee, like, just the very fluid, light, I guess I'm trying to think of the right word, but instead of being like, a sharp feeling to the note, he was playing them with that soft, sort of smooth, slidey feeling you get with jazz.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so this is just... Okay, that's just a level I will never reach, and I am fine with that.
I mean, everybody besides me and Sunblind is in a cover band.
Yeah.
I think Sam, our bassist, plays in 2 cover bands now. And then Kyle and Kevin, our drummer, Kyle's on guitar, they're both in Dear Zoe.
That's the thing, is it's easier to make money in a cover band than it is to make money as an original. Like but that's where it is. Like, you're gonna reliably make, you might be able to book $1,000, $2,000 shows at bars every weekend.
Yeah.
That you're then splitting between 3 to 4 people.
Right.
And that's going to be consistent. It's going to be something you can do on the weekend while you're working your full-time job. You can still enjoy it. A safe option for people who maybe didn't make it big before they ran out of gas.
Right. Yeah.
But it also definitely has more restriction because no cover band is going to be playing Madison Square Garden. It's never going to happen. Unless, you might see like really popular tribute bands play shows to 4,000 or 5,000 person venues.
Get the let out.
But you're not going to see the Hammer-Ons.
Yeah.
Like the biggest stage we ever played was Xfinity Live. And then we never played a big stage again. It's like Johnny just got tired of doing anything cool.
Right. So maybe we'll close out with this because we need to do it. R.I.P. Sam Ash, King of Prussia.
Oh my God, really?
Guys, are we on?
I didn't know.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but King of Prussia, Sam Ash, they were gonna be done by the end of the month, and today they did we're closing today. It's our last day. They've been open for over 20 years. I worked there from 2010 to 2012. I was number 1 in sales.
Damn.
For the guitar department. I think I even beat the manager who had been there for like 10 years. But they're closing. They're no more. I don't know where I'm gonna get my last minute string. Oh, George's. George's. Actually, that's
the guys over George's in Spring City are great.
I do go there for strings anyway.
Yeah, I like them.
I go to Sam Ash for used stuff because you know. But they're closing out. They're closing out their stores, so it's a lot of memories. But my buddy,
is Sam Ash overall closing?
No,
just the one at KOP.
No, they're very much. I know from knowing the owners. They've always been very much. I'm sure everything's different now because it's very much online, but they've never done commercials. Unlike Guitar Center, which was funny because when we worked there, people would walk in and be like, "Saw the commercial on TV, guys. Great job."
Wasn't you?
Wasn't us. I'd be like, "Cool. Like, want to buy this guitar?" But my buddy Matt Perkins, I replaced him when I worked at Sam Ash. He was actually he was teching for Get the Lead Out, and he was making like $400 or $500 as a tech then. And now I think they played Madison Square Garden.
Really?
I actually think they might have because they are the number one
tribute band,
Led Zeppelin tribute band, and I've actually heard guys that have gone to see them that are like, I've seen Led Zeppelin and they're like, they actually said there's like certain things like from the album that they'll have like a guy there to do or play, like it's like very accurate to the original. And also, like, Robert Plant's voice is
gone.
It just I think anything he sings is like at least a half step down from what it used to be.
I will be honest. When I first heard Greta Van Fleet, I kind of thought they were a Led Zeppelin tribute band.
I mean, honestly, they
kind of are a Led Zeppelin. Yeah. I mean, there's being influenced by a band, and then there's being that band.
Yeah.
Which, granted, in a lot of ways, I do think Greta Van Fleet plays better music than Led Zeppelin overall. I think Led Zeppelin has, like, their best songs are better than Greta Van Fleet's best songs.
You need a girl with blue hair to come in and say, yeah, they didn't steal from black people.
To be fair, Jimmy Page 100% did steal entire riffs from blues musicians.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, I learned to play the blues first and then, I took what I learned from that and turned it into rock and roll.
I've heard the audio clips and you're like, oh, you're real lucky they didn't have YouTube back then because all your monetization would have gotten pulled.
You hear it for the first time and somebody will say something and you're like, come on. Music is always influenced. Come on. And then you hear it and you're like, oh no, that's the same.
Oh dude, it's like straight stealing riffs from black blues musicians because you'll hear the recording and it'll be, they recorded on like one of those can microphones. It sounds like he's playing and it's
someone walked into a radio station.
Yeah, it's a Led Zeppelin riff, but recorded in 1937 or something like that in the backwoods of Alabama.
And the thing is,
it's bad.
The reason it's annoying when the blue hair girl comes up and tells you that isn't because it's like you don't believe them and you're like, I don't want to believe that Led Zeppelin did. It's because you're like, no, I know that.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that. Yeah, it was a shitty thing to do.
They just assume that
we're
all ignorant. We don't. Yeah,
it's like we don't approve of it. But at the end of the day, it's a good song.
Right.
Yes, the person should have gotten credit. Led Zeppelin probably should provide that person's family with some money for it. But I can still say it's a good song. Yeah. I will say one band that I am very impressed has avoided any sort of cancellation over the years is Leonard Skinner. I mean, Leonard Skinner should absolutely have had some sort of cancellation, right?
Probably.
Let's think about this band. Phenomenal music.
Let's think about the fan base.
Let's think about the imagery.
You can almost picture a Confederate flag behind their music. Almost. It's disconcerting.
Yeah, but at the same time, damn, is that good music?
I think they'd probably avoid cancellation because their lives got canceled decades ago.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Didn't they all die in the same helicopter?
Yeah, you can't cancel them if
I didn't know they all died in the same helicopter.
Yeah, I think the whole band died in a helicopter crash.
Did not know about the whole band dying. I knew they were all dead. I didn't know that they all died at the same time.
Yeah, no, it was like between gigs in a helicopter crash, the whole band died.
Well, I mean, I guess that would help you avoid cancellation.
So I guess they were canceled. We were wrong, guys.
Yeah. I would not. I would not put a
we
certain,
end on that note?
I would not put a certain crowd past canceling the dead.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
There's got to be at least one dead person who's been canceled. Like, we definitely canceled JFK for a minute there.
Yeah.
Did we cancel? Yeah, we canceled Michael Jackson.
We canceled Michael Jackson.
The king, guys.
I think he's coming back from cancellation. Though. I hear his music a lot more now.
Yeah. Dude, bangers are bangers, man.
Yeah, I still love. I think my favorite diss from music though is 100% from Sweet Home Alabama. It's the what's the exact line? The Neil Young part.
Sweet Home.
God, I'm trying to remember it.
I didn't grow up in a rock. Well, you
look
looked
it
up. I didn't grow up in a rock household. My mom spoke fluent Spanish, so she only listened to like Celine Dion and like stuff like that. And then my dad listened to really bad jazz, like Kenny G, and really bad Christian music, like Carmen. If you know that, you probably want to hang yourself. And then the only cool thing my dad listened to was Motown. So I was a huge Boyz II Men fan. That's literally like all I listened to when I started listening to music.
Have you noticed how frequently Boyz II Men comes up in like buddy sitcoms?
Not enough.
Like there are entire episodes about Boyz II Men in both Always Sunny and How I Met Your Mother.
They were also on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, that one actually makes sense.
That one makes a lot of sense. They were the guys that beat him up on the playground or whatever.
Yeah. Also, the guys from Always Sunny are some of the funniest people to ever live. But here's the line. Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her, Neil Young. Well, I heard old Neil put her down. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember a Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Like, just straight Neil Young diss.
Wow.
Them literally being like, shut the fuck up, Neil. All about Alabama, just because Neil Young said something about Alabama.
Interesting. Neil Young does like to run his mouth, though.
Oh yeah. I love when it was him, right? That was like, either take me or Joe Rogan off Spotify. And
and they're like,
all right, you're off Spotify.
They're like, how many hits have you gotten this month, Neil? Like, yeah.
You remember you were big in the 70s, right? It's like Barry Manilow making demands.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure there's anybody from back then who's that relevant now.
We're the Soggy Bottom Boys. We want to cancel Joe Rogan.
Like maybe Paul McCartney. Maybe Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney could probably pull any card he wants, actually.
Yeah, because I don't know how much ownership he has over the Beatles catalog, but that Spotify might actually balk at.
I know who owns it. That's why him and Michael Jackson weren't friends, right?
What?
So, fun fact.
This is gonna be the last story of the show.
Yeah, last story of the show. I want to say this was early it was like 90s or something like that. I think they did a collaboration song in the 90s. And Paul McCartney was actually kind of mentoring Michael Jackson because he was, buying like playgrounds and giant like theme parks, attaching them to his house and buying monkey bones, and just like he had all this money coming in, and he was like a kid that you gave $40 million to, and he's like, I'm gonna buy the glove of Napoleon Bonaparte, like
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah, I was thinking of Napoleon.
No, but now I want the movie that just came out, Napoleon, edited so that every time Joaquin Phoenix talks, it's Napoleon Dynamite. I want somebody to make it happen. It doesn't have to be the whole movie, but at least a few scenes.
What's our budget for that? So he Paul McCartney and him were hanging out, and Paul ended up saying, he's like, Michael, you're making all this money. There's a shelf life to being big, and especially when you're making millions of dollars and you're spending millions of dollars, like that stuff disappears really quick. So he said to him, for example, the rights to the Beatles music is coming up for sale in the next year or something like that. And he's like, I'm going to be buying it. And Michael Jackson outbid him and bought it. Yeah. So they were he was mentoring, and they were not friends after that. Yeah.
That's so funny, though. That is so funny.
I mean, he kind of took mentoring a little too literally.
I love it. But, you can only imagine Michael Jackson sitting there Paul McCartney did tell me I should buy his music. as he's signing it over, he's like, hee hee, I got your music.
Eleanor Risby is mine. So
Come together right now. Over here.
all right, I think we should end it on that note.
Over hee gotcha.
Yeah. All right, before I say something cancelable,
Yeah, that'll be impressive. Get canceled after your first show.
on my first show. I was one and done, like many of my relationships. Hey guys, I'm Luke Eccles, and I've had Aidan Mattis on the show. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow our channels and look out for some future episodes.
Get off the Reckles.
Off the Reckles. I got a very sleepy dog.
There's a very sleepy husky right here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks.
Go away. Bye. Get out. Leave.